Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Gamescast for Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing, Adeoye Jr. Joining me is the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Hello, Bless.
And we have WWE superstar, Greg Miller.
I just want to have a nice Tuesday. I just want to go play a video game. Redacted. Well, actually, it's Split Fiction. We can say we're playing Split Fiction. I just want to go play Split Fiction with them. And then I got to have Warner Brother Games continuing to be the biggest doofuses fucking around, and that's saying something. And they're probably not the biggest doofuses, but there's still a bunch of fucking clowns out there who can't get a goddamn DC Comics video game out to save their life.
We got a lot to talk about. Of course, if you listen to KFGD, me and Andy, we're supposed to do a one-on-one episode. We're going to do a couple shit lists. We're going to talk about the best PC games of all time.
Kick our feet up.
Have a good
pizza,
time.
You know, who knows?
You know what I mean? Like, goof around. Because me and Andy, I don't even know if we've done a one-on-one games cast before.
I've never even seen you guys talk at the office.
I was excited to do a shit list.
I was excited to have you on a shit list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going to be some banger content, but yeah, toward the end
Now
of
we got this trash.
Now we got
a
a
horrible
fucking
episode.
trash fire to talk about, because toward the end of KHD, it was breaking news that WB had shut down Monolith and some other studios as well, including Player First Games, who you know from Multiverses, and they're canceling Wonder Woman. So we had to pull Greg off of the thing he was doing, which I know is going to stretch his schedule, but we don't care about that because, of course, y'all want to hear Greg talk about all this and stuff.
Live talk shows every day about video games. If the news happens, we don't sleep. We get in here and do it.
Exactly, because remember, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together and talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. Housekeeping for you, we're an 11-person business all about live talk shows. KHD, right before this, was about Fable getting delayed. Right now is the Gamescast, and after this is the stream, which is going to be the Cine 2 Nerdle crew. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Greg Way, and later today, we are doing a Kind of Funny happy hour for our $25 patrons. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Karen Lindener. Today we're brought to you by Greg Miller's Live Chicago show and BetterHelp, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's start with topic of the show. Topic of the show, a last-minute audible for the big conversation of the moment. WB closes Monolith and a couple other studios. Of course, I want you guys to super chat in with your thoughts and questions, and we'll get into them. To set the stage, I want to hop into an article from Tom Ivan at Video Games Chronicle. Warner Brothers is reportedly closing 3 game studios and canceling Wonder Woman. That's the title of the article. Warner Brothers is reportedly closing 3 internal development studios and canceling the Wonder Woman game. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War studio Monolith Productions is shutting down, with its in-development Wonder Woman game being axed, according to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier. Warner Brothers Games is reportedly closing 3 internal development studios. Oh, okay, I guess I must have copied that or pasted that twice. Maybe it was like that on the article.
It's all happening pretty fast.
It's all happening pretty fast, so I think actually that might have been on them. But to further this, I do have a screenshot from Blue Sky. This was via Ethan Gotch, who you know from Kotaku, screenshotting WB's confirmation of it all. They wrote, "We have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises: Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. After careful consideration, we are closing 3 of our development studios: Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talents that consist within them. The development of Monolith's Wonder Woman game will not move forward. Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the iconic character, and unfortunately this is no longer possible within our strategic priorities. This is another tough decision, as we recognize Monolith's storied history of delivering epic fan experiences through amazing games. We greatly admire the passion of the 3 teams and thank every employee for their contributions. As difficult as today is, we remain focused on and excited about getting back to producing high-quality games for our passionate fans and developed by our world-class studios, and getting our games business back to profitability and growth in 2025 and beyond."
Shut the fuck up, man.
Andy, do you want to take it away?
God damn. I mean, like, we're excited to get back to developing high quality. So then, what were you doing then? What was the problem?
Low quality. They're developing low quality, apparently.
I mean, that's really the only take. I mean, we've heard these statements a million times. We've read statements like these a million times on these shows to maximize shareholder blah blah blah, get the budget profits up, and we want to concentrate on these certain IPs. Or it's just,
I mean, the part that stood out to me was this is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them.
good. I'm glad they think they're talented.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, thank God.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, we ain't talking shit about these guys. We're firing them, but you should still hire.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, worth noting too, even on top of the statement that we're talking about, Player First Games, I believe, was acquired this last year. They're the team that
July
did
22nd, 2024, Burbank, California. Business Wire. Warner Brothers Games announces the acquisition of Player First Games, the developer of their recently launched Multiverse's free-to-play platform fighter video game. Get fucked.
Yeah.
Get fucked,
Greg,
WB.
you're the DC person.
I am,
That's
which
kinda
makes me
funny.
the Warner Brothers person.
Yeah.
I've been to the Warner Brothers studio store many a times growing up. I spent thousands of dollars there of my parents' money.
How does this hit you?
Man, there are so many different ways to come at this and be angry. First and foremost, you're completely disheartened and saddened for the developers who just lost their jobs. How, these 3 game studios, did they know this was coming? Was this writing on the wall type situation? Or was they came to work on Tuesday, set to make their games, and guess what? It's all gone. Player First. You bought less than a year ago from these people. Imagine you were going to get resources and time to make things. Multiverse has been a disaster, in terms of how WB's handled it since then. So first and foremost, there's just that. Then there's the part of me that, again, looks at this statement from WB and it's just get fucked. You know what I mean? Again, to sit here and talk about our key franchises, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones, while canceling a DC game, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? Like, the rumor has been on the streets forever that Warner Brothers has been trying to sell the gaming division. Granted, Warner Brothers goes through leadership over there like nobody's goddamn business, so who knows if that's still the thing. But you'd imagine they're still trying to slim this down, trim this down. The rumor I'd always heard about this when it was the rumor mill going on this was that we're trying to sell the WB Interactive Studios, but obviously the IP wouldn't go with them. So Warner Brothers would still own DC. Warner Brothers would still own Harry Potter. Warner Brothers would still own Mortal Kombat. So we would sell you, Blessing, NetherRealm, but then you'd pay us to still make Mortal Kombat games. Which, like, what the fuck?
Terrible strategy.
No, terrible, awful. Nobody's going to want to be a part of that necessarily, like, right? Like, no.
Yeah, if I'm a company and I'm looking to buy NetherRealm, right? Like, I'm buying NetherRealm to make those games. So if you're telling me that, I'm purchasing this studio,
And then we lease
but then
back
I
to
have to-
Injustice in Mortal Kombat.
yeah, I then have to pay royalties to you on top of that just so I can have the Mortal Kombat studio make Mortal Kombat. That's
Yeah.
such a bad deal for me as a
It's
business.
that thing for me personally as a WB fan and really as a DC fan, right? I feel the writing's been on the wall for a while, and this has been we're in a tailspin, right? The leadership there clearly doesn't know what they're doing. And so to see them come out and do this cut and run on all these developers today, right? We're to exactly what we've seen throughout the industry. What me and Matt Piscatella talked about last week in the Gamescast. You are in an industry right now of fucking suits at the top who are trying to maximize shareholder value and do not care about people's lives or the arts of video games. They got into this thinking, holy shit, wait a second. I'm seeing the success this Fortnite game's having. We have a catalog of IP. Can you guys please make a free-to-play game for us? And they're like, sure, here's Multiverses, which doesn't hit because it's just too saturated. There's just, you don't have that room to grow. And maybe even if it does hit, it doesn't hit Fortnite hit. And that's what these people wanted. That's what they wanted. The people who greenlit a Wonder Woman game, like, what were you expecting Wonder Woman 1984 when we started down this to be this giant like hit and then to continue on and the Snyderverse would roll forever and there'd be gal movie after gal movie making Wonder Woman a bigger thing, so you bet on that to do that thing. You stayed away from Superman because of the Henry Cavill back and forth, yada yada. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's the conversation that me and Andy were having a little bit on KHD with the James Gunn story of him talking to the studios for Warner Brothers, right? Where I have faith in James Gunn's DC stuff because I like James Gunn. I think he does good work.
Yeah.
But when it is the thing of, hey, we're communicating with these studios to try and, loop them into the universe we're creating with the DCU, I get concerned of, well, then how beholden is the success of these studios to the success of the DCU, right? If we get to a place where, shit, this actually didn't pan out the way
dude,
that
if
we
Superman
want
doesn't
to.
hit, they're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that reflects back on the game studios.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen this happen before where, there was a a time in an earlier time of video games where movie tie-ins were attempted to be a thing, and it was consistent that movie tie-ins were oftentimes, not every time, right, but oftentimes bad because, oh man, we're trying to align with the release of this movie, which means that our dev time might be lower or the budget we have might not match what we need to make this kind of game. Like,
they would get shit out real quick.
Yeah, real quick. And that stuff is just really hard to align, especially when you're talking about that. I'm talking about games during the PS2 era. When you're talking about games today and how tough video game development is and how long video game development takes compared to something
and
you're
how
doing,
expensive it is.
how expensive it is, right? It's just way different from movies as far as how you can align that stuff, make that stuff play together. I'm not saying it's impossible. Andy brought up the egg sandwich idea of like, oh yeah, if Peacemaker loves egg sandwiches, maybe your Peacemaker in your game could like egg sandwiches too or something, right? Like maybe you can do Easter eggs or something, or maybe you can have it be an Injustice thing of, we have this game, we have this movie coming up, maybe this character would fit in Injustice.
Real quick, let me just hop in because I Bless and I were having this conversation just really only based on it would be an impossible task to try to align these universes because of canon. And I hadn't even considered Greg bringing it up. The Wonder Woman fucking 1989 movie sucks or whatever. 1984 movie sucks.
Just respect.
And I'm like, you know what? Shit, I didn't even consider that. Like, what if the movie sucks? And the Wonder Woman movie came out and just sucked, And
I mean, the way more relevant example to why you don't want to tie a video game universe to an MCU is the whole Kang stuff. Yeah. Right? Like what? Kang's our big thing. We're moving Kang game. Awesome. I'm making a Kang game. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't have to have.
And you're 3 years into development, and it's like, actually,
by the way,
we're
pivoting away from all of that. Oh, fucking Jesus! You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is. So my hope with the rumors of James Gunn wanting to talk to this and DCU it up was always that, well, he's establishing a very comic booky world, right? So hopefully. We're talking a multiverse. We're talking whatever. Like, it can all exist in there and do whatever. Not have to be like you're making a Superman game and it's going to be David Corn sweats Superman and you're doing that thing. And this harkens back to just a couple weeks ago when I made that rant video on Games Daily calling out, hey, James Gunn, like, let's do lunch. Let me talk. It was before this. It was when I think Jason Schreier's February report, Kevin, if you want to play the video, not with sound, went up of like, hey, it's trouble over there. Wonder Woman's already cost $100 million, right? They're trying to pivot back to a Batman Arkham single-player game. Like, until someone grabs the fucking wheel of what's going on over there and knows what video game people want, you're not going to turn a profit on it. You're going to have continued cancellations. And that's the problem I have with this thing. You're talking about back in the day, the tie-ins to movies and tie-ins to all this stuff. And like, we'd get a Batman Begins game and it was dog shit. You know what I mean? EA put out this thing where it was a fear meter and it's like, no one thought about that. And it's why Arkham Asylum caught everyone off guard, is it was a Batman game. We're like, okay, another licensed superhero game. This will be garbage. And we got it. We're like, holy shit, this is amazing, right? To have that experience, to know what that was, I don't understand. And I know it's crazy. It's not crazy to say. I don't understand how Warner Brothers and DC didn't get this in line because, of course, look at their fucking movies that have also been a train wreck of not knowing how to handle this stuff. The fact that you are the ones who did this, you put out Arkham Asylum and you redesigned a superhero division and you haven't been able to say, here we go. And then to hear the games that have been canceled. The fucking bodies along this trail, right? Remember when that Batman Gotham by Gaslamp footage came out? Like, that was like, why not? The rumors of a Damian Wayne Batman game? Why not? The Superman game that I know existed, that they were working on, that was canceled. What the fuck? Like, we're doing, why? What is like, what is this? It's publish or perish, and now it's just, even if you're working on it, you're going to perish.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
We talked about this a few weeks ago, and like details are fuzzy because there's so many of them of what all the different Warner Brothers studios were doing, and those one of the studios that was trying to work on a Constantine thing because they knew that they should have been working on something within that IP because that's what Warner Brothers wanted, and then at a certain point they're like, Constantine not big enough, let's maybe do Flash. Okay, we couldn't get that to work. Okay, let's do this thing instead then, right? Like, it feels like Warner Brothers is in a place of, all right, we got to do what makes the most sense IP wise first, and I guess like game archetype wise first. We got to make money, so we're gonna have this multiplayer fighting game that's gonna be way more like Smash Brothers. That's gonna have so much crossover, but then also we'll make it free to play and live service and all this stuff. Okay, cool. That didn't work. All right, Suicide Squad. We're trying to make the Suicide Squad happen for a bunch of different movies. Let's make a Suicide Squad game that's gonna be a live service thing. Shit, that didn't work, right? And I think to have that stuff happen and not come to fruition in terms of success, and be in a place where Monolith, a studio that's a very talented studio, is working on an IP that I don't know if I wouldn't call Wonder Woman necessarily like a top tier IP, but it's a good IP to be working on, I would say.
For DC, like, and I know this is comic nerdy shit, whatever, but remember, she's part of the Trinity. It is Superman, it is Batman, it is Wonder Woman. So even if she's not the highest stock right now, the thought, understandably, behind it would be, we can make this game with lower expectations, exceed those expectations, make Wonder Woman matter more than ever. And back to it of like, they're making more movies for her, right? So clearly we can be in line with that. We can ride that tail.
And of course, there's conversations that we're not privy to, I'm sure, that are, oh man, this game's not panning out. Oh, this is going to take way longer. Oh, the budget for this is going to have to get even higher. You talk about the 100 million already?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think if you're in a place of turmoil, then that is what it is. But if Monolith, the studio that gave us Shadow of Mordor, which we haven't even talked about yet, right? Like, this is a fucking talented studio. And when you talk about what Batman Arkham did, I think you also just talk about what WB was doing at that time of that Injustice. Obviously, Mortal Kombat's always Mortal Kombat, but Mortal Kombat, and then, Shadow of Mordor, that's such a key example of, oh yeah, when you don't allow other things to get in the way, when you don't allow a tie-in movie to get in the way of a licensed game, guess what? You can create gold and create something like the Nemesis system, which really allows that universe to shine. And that studio making a Wonder Woman game should have been such a slam dunk as far as what that is.
I think, you're saying it in so many words. Not being privy to this, just going off of Jason's reporting, both today and the earlier February report that I haven't pulled up in front of me, right? It sounds like WB's entire problem is not being able to get out the suits out of the way of the creators.
Yeah.
Period. Right? You're reading Jason's thing here, right? It's now been more than 7 years since the studio's last game. An initial version of Wonder Woman tried reimagining the Nemesis system with the game's namesake heroine befriending enemies, but that idea has since been tossed out in more favor of a traditional action-adventure game. Period. Stop right there, right?
Glad they patented that.
Why did you... The Nemesis system is awesome. You fucking patented that, you fucking brainless hacks at WB, and you've done jack shit with it. How much do you need to listen to? People love that system. What you just said there sounds interesting from Wonder Woman, right? Befriending enemies, and then you're working on the Nemesis system. Then, let's do it for a more traditional action-adventure game, right? I assume that's someone stepping in at the top, or a board of people stepping at the top, being like, well, let's not take a chance on that. Let's do what's going on over here, right? In the same way, hey, Rocksteady, Suicide Squad, let's do that. Let's have the dollar signs in our eyes. And I know there was leadership at Rocksteady that wanted to do that, but this is back to the conversation you and I have all the time, Bless, about like, well, when the parent company is saying, we need hitters, we need winners, we want a Fortnite, leadership's going to be incentivized to go,
it's like,
we could do this. We could fucking do this, right? We could be the Fortnite. When no, you don't want to go do that. And it's the same thing to look at the WB Montreal section, right, of them talking about Gotham Knights, right? Even so, based on the hard-earned lessons from the previous development cycle and equipped with new, proven technology, the Montreal studio leaders wanted to make another iteration of Gotham Knights, a 1.5 version that would fix some of the predecessor's flaws. But their bosses nixed the idea, according to people familiar with the plans, and instead assigned the bulk of Montreal staff to help out with other projects across Warner Brothers. In the months that followed, the Montreal studio continued trying to get a new project off the ground. First, they pitched a game based on comic book anti-hero, John Constantine, who was played by Keanu Reeves, of course, in the 2005 thing. Haddad's team, led by Vice President of Production Brian Bell, initially said they were excited about the idea, but when they asked for a budget and timeline approvals, they remained non-committal, according to people familiar with the plans. After months of waffling, Bell suggested they should work instead on a game starring a more recognizable character, like the Joker or Flash. They chose to go with the superhero speedster, but in 2023, Warner Brothers released Flash, a lavish movie starring Ezra Miller, which bombed at the box office. The video game has since been scrapped. Get the fuck out of these people's way. Like, what do you want from them? Just make 4 Batman games if that's what you want.
Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, if they were making if Rocksteady was making a Batman Arkham game, and then Batman v Superman came out, and they were like, "Oh, scrap Batman Arkham." Like, we're not doing that because guess what? This unrelated Batman movie is not great.
And again,
right?
like, you want to talk about just like not learning the lessons from the past.
Yeah,
there was a Dark Knight game in development running when they were working on the Dark Knight movie. And
we saw the footage of it, right?
I believe so, yeah. But the leadership was basically said, like, we can't have another bad Batman game. And that's when Rocksteady was working on Arkham Asylum. And suddenly it was that Dark Knight came out, and then whatever, how many years later, months later, whatever, Arkham was announced, and it's like, oh, these aren't connected. And everybody was fine.
Yeah.
Suddenly it was like, we don't need to worry about this shit, right? Like, we can keep pushing in the same way of, like, did you like why the Flash, like, it could be a cool game without this. Again, we're talking about scopes, we're talking about budgets, we're talking about whatever. When you're fucking Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and you need everything to sell 16 million units to justify this, the whole thing here is, it strikes me a lot to a degree of, you go and you buy this thing and then it comes with a bunch of stuff you don't want. This was a big conversation we had with Phil and Xbox, around Phil and Xbox, I should say, of, hey, we bought Bethesda because of course we want Fallout and we want Wolfenstein, but we're also getting Tango and we're also getting, we don't really need any of that stuff, but they're coming with it. So we do it, we cut it off and go. The problem here is it's not even new owners. It's just new leadership of like, we don't want all these studios, and we have all these studios, so keep making them make games and burn money, and then we never put out the games, and then finally close out the studios. Like, what are we doing?
I think a lot of it is misplaced expectations, obviously. That's like one of the most obvious points you can make, because I really think that Hogwarts Legacy ruined any of their expectations for what a video game can be and can sell for. And I think maybe that's the golden goose that they're going for, because I think after shutting down Multiverses and shutting down that studio, they are no longer going for the games as a service sort of thing, knowing that, wow, we lost a lot of money there.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of budget and time. That's not the thing we're going to go for anymore. But, hey, remember, we put out that game Hogwarts Legacy. As of October of 2024, that sucker sold 30 million copies, $2.1 billion in profit. Or not profit, but just revenue. And like, that is such a unrealistic expectation. Not only because 30 million copies is so goddamn much in today's day and age for a single player sort of IP based video game, right? Something that you know already, but Harry Potter is just a rare ass fandom.
Yeah.
That you have so many non-gamers playing that game.
Oh yeah.
You have like, and I don't know if maybe they were just too deep into Wonder Woman development, where they're just like, it's not worth the cost. This is a sunk cost thing.
Wonder Woman's not Harry Potter.
We can't bring it back. Yeah. And but I just think that, like, if it were any other IP that sold, you look at the Arkham games, they sell around 10 million, 8 million, 7 million, whatever. That's such a more realistic thing to look at, as opposed to 30 damn million as of October. Who knows where it's at now,
Yeah.
That's such a weird fandom that non-gamers were buying that game, and that's not the general gamer buying a video. Like, to me, the people playing Fortnite for free that aren't paying for PS Plus membership, aren't paying for Xbox Live or whatever the fuck to play online, the people playing the free to play games are the people buying Hogwarts Legacy.
But I do think there's something to be said of what can we learn from Hogwarts Legacy as far as why it did so well. Because I think you're right that that's such a special occasion of a video game. But I do think that, one, Harry Potter has such a big fan base and a storied fan base, right? It goes back to early 2000s and people fucking live, die, and breathe Harry Potter. Even with all the controversy around it, people still fucking ride or die for Harry Potter.
It was the fantasy. It was the power fantasy of
what you've always wanted if you're a Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, it's everybody who, has grown up a Harry Potter fan being, I want to get sorted into that house. And not only does it look really damn good and impressive, but it reviewed really well.
And I think it fulfills that fantasy to the point you're making. And I think the big thing with Hogwarts Legacy is that it fed the fan base. It fed a group of people that were waiting to be fed. That game made sense. That game, is speaking to people who haven't had, there have been Harry Potter games in the past. It's not like Hogwarts Legacy is the first of its kind, but it has been a minute. And I don't even think we've gotten that kind of Harry Potter game where it is create your own wizard. You can be yourself at Hogwarts and all this shit, right? That fed an audience. And I think WB is an organization that has a lot of IPs. I don't think any of them are as replicable as Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is its own beast. But you do have a lot of different IPs that I think you can do that with. Not on that level, but you have all the DC stuff, right? That a person like Greg is gonna go crazy for. You guys are gonna have to back me up as far as IPs, because WB is not my forte. But Game of Thrones seems like it's prime for a big release. I'm surprised you haven't done the Hogwarts. I'm surprised that Hogwarts Legacy-esque game isn't necessarily in development right now. And I know there's that one
Create
Game of
your
Thrones
White
game.
Walker.
There is that Game of Thrones game that was revealed though, like Gamescom or some shit. if you
Where
guys
it had
remember.
all of the actual voice actors in it and
Yeah.
stuff. But
and I don't even know who's developing that. It was like a weird one, but
I would put that in the mobile game category. You know,
it gave mobile game
Yeah.
vibes. So I guess the point I'm making is that I think there are lessons to be learned from Hogwarts Legacy as far as how to make a successful game, right? You did it with Hogwarts Legacy. Was an IP that you owned, sold a bunch of copies. All right, what makes sense for your studios to then try and, I guess, make something special that people are going, how do you feed that audience?
I just think they were too deep into it with Wonder Woman. Like to have a success like Hogwarts Legacy happen while Wonder Woman is just eating through money and budget and costs, and to them they're like, this ain't gonna do what that did.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the best and worst thing that could have happened to them, because not only did it sell a shitload, but now that's gonna be the goal. And well, of course, why wouldn't that be the goal? But now that to me is their expectation of like, why can't all of our single player games do this? And that's just such a lofty,
You won't get out of their
unrealistic
fucking
thing.
way, right?
Yeah.
Again, like, and you're probably kicking ads here in a
Yeah,
second,
yeah.
but it's like everything you said. The Harry Potter game works, or Hogwarts Legacy works because it's the fantasy of being Harry Potter or living in Hogwarts, right? Like, that's such a simple pitch. Whose fantasy ever was to fucking be the Suicide Squad, hopping around rooftops shooting guns? I'm Captain Boomerang. I got a cool boomerang. No, you got a gun.
That could be Deadshot.
What are you fucking talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about?
That game should have won Best Art Direction, though.
You like the big weak points on the enemies? Did they take that out
it
after
just looked so good. The game looked unbelievable on PC, man. Those cutscenes looked fantastic.
Damn.
Great job, artists over there.
Well, there's a lot more to talk about, and there's a lot of super chats to get into. But before we do, I want to tell you about patreon.com/kindafunny, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, where you can go and get the Kinda Funny membership, which allows you to get shows ad-free. Speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by me, Greg Miller. Chicago, what are you doing Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m.? The answer? Coming to my live show. That's right, Mrs. Miller's baby boy is coming back to Chicagoland and putting on a 90-minute, one-night-only show live from the Goodwin Auditorium at Benedictine University in Lisle. I'm mixing a bit of Up at Noon with a bit of my best Comic-Con performances with a lot of my Chicago influences. I'm calling it a late night with Greg Miller, and it's going to offer never-before-heard adolescent tales, an interview with one of my favorite bands of all time, a conversation with Millie Ramsey about growing up in the internet spotlight, your live questions for me, and of course, tons of fabulous video game prizes. Get your tickets now at kindafunny.com/Chicago. And hey, Midwest people, we never do shows out there, so this is your chance to see a Greg Miller stage show. Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. We always talk about how we love to drive as Midwest people, so hit the road for an opportunity you may never get again. This is a fundraiser for Benedictine University. That's right, my childhood best friend Poe's school. So get your tickets now at kindafunny.com/Chicago, and I'll see you on April 10th. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's always important for us to be aware of a relationship red flags we should avoid. But what if we focused more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. Some of our best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, and it serves over 5 million people worldwide. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny.
And we're back. You guys have been running in with a lot of super chats. Quite a few people want to know about the Nemesis system. CJ Splitson writes in and says, is Nemesis system dead and dusted? And Buses and Bridges writes in and says, does the Nemesis system patent they held dissolve? I doubt
I
it
think
dissolves.
Warner Brothers holds it, right? Because they had, Warner Brothers would have been the one with copyright because they had Monolith to begin with. So no, they still have that. And talk about what a wasted goddamn thing. One of the best systems in a video game in the last 15 years. Explain it, because They haven't made a fucking video game.
That's the thing.
It's
Is like
so
what?
long.
And
The people who were talking about the Nemesis probably don't know what it was. They don't remember this. Lord,
That's the thing is we're talking about a system that came out 11 years ago, so I'm a little dusty as well. But like, it was basically a system to where enemies would remember you, and like there would be persistent storylines that would happen as far as like
you'd lop off an orc's arm, and then hours later that orc would return with a metal arm and be like, I remember you, meatbag.
And like if an orc killed you, it would then rise in the ranks. Like you would go to a screen that would show you all the rankings of the orcs and kind of like who's king, who's leader, who's this, who's that, right? And like the higher they rank up, the more powerful they are, and like
you could convince one of them to
fight another one,
to kind of infiltrate and become kind of your homie or whatever, and all of it just having that sort of remembrance, and they would pop up later on and try to fight you later on, and maybe they are doing real bad because the last time you fucked them up, they're just super depressed and they're just crashing out.
Man,
but sometimes they rise
this anymore.
Yeah, like, it was awesome. It worked really, really great for that game. Do I think it would have been the perfect match for Wonder Woman? I don't think so. But the fact that was that we know of the only game using it, the only game that had tried to use it, and the only game I guess we haven't seen this since 2017, since Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Insane.
What a waste. I don't know if it was completely true, but somebody said in the chat that, Spam says the Nemesis patent expires in 2036. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I don't know patent law like that.
We'll be underwater by then, so who cares?
But you can always renew a patent, can't you? I think it's up for renewal.
Can you imagine? Like, I mean, I could because business, right? But like,
they're gonna renew it.
If I see a website in 2036 when I am
living
41 years old,
living under a bridge,
I check my phone and I see an art. It's like it's from Wario 64. That is WB renews the Nemesis system. I'm going to war. I'm picking up a pickaxe.
That's all. That's it. That's what it is.
I'm knocking on David Zaslav's door. Like, you did what?
Interesting wrinkle here that I just saw on Blue Sky as I'm watching people react to all this stuff, right? Nick Verge, of course, just a Pop Agenda co-founder with my wife, responds to Jason Schreier, WB Montreal escaped this? ? How? That's another good point of, like, when's the other shoe drop? Are they going to get rid of Montreal as well? Because
does NetherRealm ever get closed? Like, when all this video game
you can't close NetherRealm.
I mean, can you not?
If you're closing NetherRealm and you're WB Interactive, you're out of the gaming business.
Yeah.
And even then,
but I mean, are they out of the business? Are like, this feels like the transition, right? This feels like them trying to maybe lean up to either sell these things off or go, we just can't support these things anymore, and we're too stubborn to allow somebody to buy NetherRealm and also buy the Mortal Kombat IP from us because we want to keep the IP. Maybe we can do merch. Maybe we can do movies. Like, if they want to keep that IP, then I think NetherRealm is at risk. I don't think people are buying NetherRealm without Mortal Kombat.
I guess when I think of WB Montreal, I don't. You go with your point first.
It's real quick.
Yeah.
If that's happening and they're selling without and it's all going to close up, Epic buys them.
Epic buys NetherRealm.
You get a fighter inside Fortnite. Not fatalities, obviously, but take all that. Jonesy versus fucking every other skin they got out there in the same way.
Sounds disgusting. I was gonna say, can they
be a fucking sicko playing it and join that at Evo?
Here's the thing:
you'll be 41 at Evo playing NetherRealm is Fortnite.
My thing with the NetherRealm thing is NetherRealm is so talented as a studio, right? Obviously, they can make great fighting games. However, Mortal Kombat, half the appeal to Mortal Kombat is the violence, right? Like, Mortal Kombat is usually, I think, the better selling fighting game because of like the gimmick of tearing things apart, the blood, the
ribs
fatalities,
cracking.
the ribs like that's what Mortal Kombat is. Of course, they made Injustice. Injustice isn't as violent as Mortal Kombat, but I think Mortal Kombat is the thing that allows NetherRealm to like live and breathe in the way they do. Even if they make a Fortnite fighting game, I just don't see it like taking them that far. Great. I think they put it out the door, they get it out the door, but I think it falls in the line of like Rocket Racing and like the
Lego
the rhythm,
the Guitar Hero thing that they did in Fortnite. I think it ends up being one of those, and then eventually like NetherRealm is just not to be heard from again.
You said if they're getting rid of these 3 studios, it seems like they're getting out of it anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the Wikipedia. You're looking at subsidiaries, right? Avalanche Software, number 1. Monolith Productions, number 2, dead, right? So we'll just strike it. NetherRealm, now number 2. Player First Games, dead. Strike it from the record. So Avalanche, NetherRealm.
Are these ordered in a specific way?
Just down. I'm just reading off the Wikipedia page, sadly. So active, Avalanche, NetherRealm, Portkey Games, Rocksteady Studios, TT Games, Then we get into the WB Games of cities, right? That I'm not super familiar with. Where you got WB Games Montreal. The synopsis says known for its massive online
They were Batman, right?
multiplayer.
Gotham Knights.
No,
You know-
that's Montreal.
Yeah, that's what you just said.
You
Oh, I'm
said-
sorry, Boston. I'm sorry. I'm on WB Games
Gotcha.
Boston. My apologies. Who are known for their MMO, Asheron's Call, Dungeons and Dragons Online, Lord of the Rings Online. Then Montreal, of course. New York game or WB New York, which is looks like it's helping them with web-based communities. Not a real thing. San Diego and San Francisco don't even have it, right? So what? Avalanche, NetherRealm, Portkey, Rocksteady, TT Games, Boston, Montreal.
Oh, they're done.
That's 7 more studios. And if I'm a betting man, TT Games is done.
Yeah, that's the Lego
their whole,
studio.
Yeah, and their whole leadership team left. And I've heard, no, I don't even know I'm going to right click on this one. I don't even know what TT Games is doing because the
think-
leadership left and they went and made that Abomination Funko game.
They're not gonna make a Pharrell Lego game.
Dude, I would play the fuck out of a Pharrell Lego game. You run into the clips. Pusha T drops another diss track to Drake in it. But it's all referencing Legos.
The reason why I am not surprised that, or I guess for me, I would think that you drop all of the news today. I don't think that Montreal
But
gets
here's-
another news drop in a week and a half or 2 weeks from now.
But my thing is this, as we've seen time and time again with these kind of these kind of financial things, is no one ever just gives up. No one ever just says it's over. They say, oh, fuck, we're continuing to lose money, and so we are going to knock out these 3 studios to get back this amount of budget and this whatever, and then it'll be another 6 months, 9 months of the TT Games, according to Wikipedia, hasn't published anything since 2022. So it's like, where are they with this? Montreal, obviously, Gotham Knights, and then this weird. We tried to make a Flash. We tried to make a
That's the
Constantine.
thing is, how far do you get with those studios that you just mentioned?
How far do you get with them?
Like as WB Games, right? Like
Again, I think you're trying to sell, and so I think I understand. We're not there, right? So who knows? But I think when you're like, if you're trying to sell this, we have TT Games. They made those Lego games. We have WB Montreal. They made Batman Arkham Origins and Gotham Knights, which you don't remember, but it's got Gotham in the title. It sounds, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's that thing to it, where eventually you pare it down to where I would say probably it would end up at the very last thing. You'd have, I guess, Portkey based on what they've done with the other one, Rocksteady and
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche. I would
Or
think.
NetherRealm.
Yeah, no. I would say because Rocksteady, I don't think is long for this world, just based off of Suicide Squad.
I think
being
they're
so
there
bad.
till the bitter end.
You think so?
Yeah,
No.
I think so.
Suicide Squad, I think you're able to go, especially trying to sell. Suicide Squad, you look at and you go, well, that was a dumb decision. Why did they do this? Live service pass. Again, so many studios have died because of trying to bet on live service that I think Rocksteady, we talk about all the time, whenever it is, Rocksteady's the rumors of a new Batman single player game, people get excited. Whether
I guess, but
people aren't there, it's a different thing.
Because my thing is anybody can make a Batman, right? I know that's
Anybody can be a Batman.
sacrilege to say, but when we're talking about Rocksteady, we're talking about a studio that before they made Suicide Squad, their last game was, well, we just corrected this. It was 2016 with the VR Batman,
Right, hell yeah, it
right?
was.
But when we were talking about their last flat screen game, as the streets call it, you're talking about Batman Arkham Knight that came out in 2015. So you're talking about a studio that hasn't put out a successful, I don't want to say normal because normal sounds mean to VR, but a successful normal game for a decade. And they're right now probably on the precipice of starting their next project. That's how long? 4 years away, 5 years away. So we're talking 15 years before the studio makes
I
something that's
hear ya.
successful for us again. No, get them out of here. Like that's where I'm at.
See,
if I'm
but
thinking about
again,
it.
if I'm trying
Whereas
to
you have
hold on,
Avalanche,
if I'm trying to hold on to sell,
Yes.
it's about cachet.
Yeah.
They're fucking you're getting headlines off Flappy Bird coming back with nobody originally connected to it. It's just some Ponzi scheme, but it's like people loved Flappy Bird. Rocksteady's making a single player Batman game. People would pop.
Returning to their roots.
We've sold them to whoever, and Rocksteady's making a single player TMNT, single player, whatever Daredevil game, which come on. You know what I mean? Like, come the fuck on. If I was Marvel Games and this happened, they don't own studios, so it doesn't really work, but convince someone to buy Rocksteady and then be like, make a Daredevil game.
Get Colin Farrell to play Bullseye again. Oh, man.
Finger in his hole.
Bullseye.
Jesus. We have, of
You
course,
gotta watch that Ben Affleck. It's a good one.
movie.
It's a good one.
What if I told you that he's on an airplane, right? And he's he's on an airplane flying somewhere. Bullseye, Colin Farrell, he's bald, psycho guy. There's an old lady next to him who keeps on yapping, talking his ear off on this airplane.
About her grandkids, she's nice.
Yeah, he's really, really good at aiming stuff. That's why he's Bullseye,
He's a
right?
bullseye.
Yeah.
He's so annoyed
I
by
love
her.
Bullseye.
He's holding a little peanut from the airline snack, and he holds it, when you flick a football.
Yeah.
But he flicks the peanut off of like the front screen or off the front, chair in front of her on the airplane. And it goes into her throat. She chokes and she dies. He kills her. And then he just
awesome.
He's like, no, she's asleep. This guy's psycho. It's a good movie.
Y'all watch Daredevil season 3?
Yeah, a long time ago though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where I learned about Bullseye, and I'm like, he's a fucking sick ass character. I
Cool
love
guy,
it.
yeah, cool
I
bring
mean,
him back.
Colin Farrell, the definitive
Yeah, that's the
live
one.
action version.
That's my bullseye.
Jam Van writes in with a super chat and says, really cool that there are so many people formerly at Monolith who now have 7 to 8 year holes in their resume because the Wonder Woman game is never going to see the light of day. And the second thing is, this is part of what game development is nowadays as well, as far as like long projects that take forever to get out, and a lot of them just don't come out.
Now, we've gone this far into the show. We've gone through the ad break. You're into super chats. I still haven't gotten it.
Oh, Greg was right, everybody.
Can I get my pat on the back?
Greg
All
was right.
You know what I mean? I'm not the rumor monger. I'm not the guy who goes out there and says all this stuff. But I SGF this year, my hand was forced in 2024, and
It's a good time to just announce or re-show Wonder Woman.
Remember
Show
when Mike
something.
worked here?
Show something, yeah. Show signs of life.
I don't know. Here you go. You want it? You want the exclusive?
Greg.
I'll give you my Jeff Grubb information. All right.
Oh.
In the past year, because I'll leave it ambiguous, I have talked to an insider who was like, "This game's troubled." That's it. That's
Wonder
all I'll
Woman.
say. Yeah. Right,
How
it was on
long?
the
And
wall.
when was this?
That was SGF.
Wow. Believe Greg.
Believe
he
me,
says things.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong.
You're right this time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't say something unless I'm incredibly confident about it.
Yeah.
And I was incredibly confident based off that conversation I had that, oh no, this isn't good. And I think it was more in line. My conversation was more in line with the, and I'm feeling, I did not know the specifics. I think it's in line with, they were doing the Nemesis thing, got pulled off, just do an action RPG, or action game. This isn't working. I think that's where I was getting information.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, there was a super chat that I lost that I was going to bring about WB. Oh, here we go. Dan V900 writes in and says, WB has no faith in Wonder Woman as a character. The Jessica Cruz and Starfire animated series were just announced. The fact that those characters get series before Wonder Woman and there's never been a Wonder Woman series is insane. First of all, don't throw shade at Starfire.
Or Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, like, come on. The Teen Titans, we fuck with the Teen Titans over here. But, I mean, how do you feel about how WB feels about Wonder Woman as a character? Do you think that this was writing on the wall partly because of that?
I thought it was an interesting choice, for sure, when they announced we're doing a Wonder Woman game. Like, when we got this teaser trailer at Game Awards, right? I was like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. I would have thought for sure we would get a Superman game before a Wonder Woman game based on Superman being a big deal and Wonder Woman being part of the Trinity. I'm not, but like, Wonder Woman is even as me as a DC fanboy, right? As a fucking ride or die. Wonder Woman is such an interesting character, such an interesting Trinity member. She moves merch. I see the backpacks, I see the water bottles, I see the stuff. Ben's got a bunch of Wonder Woman stuff, right? But I don't feel like Wonder Woman has the fan base that's like, I'm about the lore. You know what I mean? Like, I know all the, like, you sit down and talk to me about Superman, it's fucking 30-hour conversation. I'm asking you, Batman's the same way. Wonder Woman, I feel like,
I don't know any of the other side. Like, I don't think of Commissioner Gordon,
exactly, right? And I feel like even with
Comparing Wonder Woman to Commissioner Gordon is hilarious.
Oh, no. I'm saying, like, I don't, like, when I think of Wonder Woman, and this is me, very limited knowledge from comic books, but when I think of Batman, I can name you a million side characters.
Oh,
and even
I
the
see what
same
you
for
mean.
kind
I
of
see what you
Superman.
mean.
But with Wonder Woman, I don't really know who else exists there.
did you know she had a pet kangaroo?
No.
There you go.
I mean, there was Pedro Pascal. That's a side character. That's a
Cheetah.
villain.
Your life's good.
Cheetah.
But it could be great, but it could be better.
Could be better.
And that's the thing where it's like, I think there was a lot of hope the movies would really become that definitive. This is what, but I mean, people enjoyed those movies, but I still don't think people base their entire interpretation of who she is off of that. I still think Linda Carter's probably a bigger Wonder Woman than Gal is in terms of pop culture. And so it's a weird push and pull of it where that on one side I think is exciting of, if I'm Monolith and I'm going to sit down and make a Wonder Woman game, it really is to a degree carte blanche. Okay, cool. There isn't a sacred thing here, right? Where it's like Superman is to me like, well, the fuck is Jonathan Kent alive? Are we doing this? Batman, he can't fucking use a gun, otherwise people are gonna flip the fuck out.
You just fly everywhere you want, and you're just super fast.
Which of course Wonder Woman also is. So it's like, I was very excited about a Wonder Woman game because like whatever, but it's the same argument people have against Superman.
Yeah. Wonder Woman is a weird one for me because I think I'm with you as far as, I don't really know people who are deep in the Duffy of Wonder Woman's my character and this is all her stories and like all this stuff, right? Like, I watched Arrow, like a fuckload of Arrow, right? And like I could tell you a ton more about Arrow than I can about Wonder Woman.
And let's just kick it off. We can just expand this from fuck Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment to fuck Warner Brothers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
These motherfuckers who were like, oh, well, we can't have a Batman show on TV because we're making Batman movies. Oh, fucking Tom Welling can't put the Superman suit on because we're making Superman movies. All those movies fucking sucked.
Yep.
You fucked it up for an entire goddamn generation not to have your marquee heroes. Instead, you got little fucks like Blessing who know everything about Arrow. And you're doing jack shit with that information.
I know so much about Arrow. like
what a fucking blowback.
Arrow,
you
man.
are the stupidest
You
mother.
deserve this.
Put the dunce cap on and go sit in the corner. And I wish that's how it worked. I wish the people who deserved this had to deal with the ramifications. But they're, as usual, the people at the top with these fucking golden parachutes and getting a gajillion dollars. And it's not the people who are like, all right, oh man, Stephen Amell, how can you do this? You know what I mean? Can you make this happen? Fucking Grant Gustin. Like he had a great conversation with Michael Rosenbaum on Inside of You the other day about like talking about like
Inside of You is the name of the podcast.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum. Well,
Michael Rosenbaum podcast.
Michael Rosenbaum's a big goof.
Okay.
That's why he fits in so with us. And his show is called Inside of You.
Well,
I don't think
like
he ever
it.
thought it would get as popular as it is because it is. But it also that's Mike. Anyways, though, a great conversation
He just
about
calls
like
him Mike. He's his cousin.
Look at this
I
guy.
you want me to call him right now? I'll call him right now. It's a great conversation about like, were you over? What was your contract? Were you over being on? And it's like, of course, like. 22 episodes. We got to pad all this stuff. He's like, it's all science. Like, there's so much gobbledygook, like conversation, like scientific conversations that you're having. It's like, that's a lot to wrap your head around to memorize and do, let alone the hours. It's like, you just, and like the Flash TV show is such a better version of the Flash than the fucking movies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, again, I have no choice, but of course, to be super excited for the Superman movie. I believe in James Gunn. I think it's a breath of fresh air, yada, yada. But the whole thing there is also that's what killed Superman and Lois, right? Same fucking decision of, well, it's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
Well, if this movie fucking sucks, you just fucked up a TV show that people really liked. And I don't know how financially successful it was for you, but it's like, it was like, how do you put Superman on TV? Oh, you put him in Smallville and really focus on him being a dad and make it really compelling content. And Lois has got cancer and this is happening here and this is got like, we're going to do like actual emotional shit with it rather than it be about punching everything. I don't fucking know,
I mean,
man.
right now you're making me think of like a Superman Telltale game, right? Or like, what if we went the full Marvel Games route?
And
of
this is the
licensing
thing,
stuff
dude.
out?
And this is,
That was always Greg's pitch.
It's
Like, you
always
have
been
to,
my pitch. It's
you have
always
to
been my
bring him
pitch.
down to earth and like not have this free open world.
Yeah,
go wherever
it doesn't
you want,
need to
kill
be an
whatever you
action
want.
game.
It's like no,
it doesn't
go
need
with,
to be Spider-Man. Like,
And
hit
this
the
is
emotional
emotional.
This
stories.
is what
foundation.
we could do and be if someone could grab the wheel over there. And I just don't know if that's possible, where the problem is, X, Y, and Z. And that's why the joke video that I put up of like, get me and James Gunn. I'm not gonna tell James anything he doesn't know, except maybe these are good developers. It'd be cool if you worked with them. Here's how I could see it. You know what I mean? Like whatever. It would just be the idea though of like Marvel games. It's interesting. There's a Greg way I'm sitting on because I need to think about it more. But it was a question of like, how do you feel about Marvel games right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I've said for years they've got the right idea. Like, rather than like, hey, we're Sega, we're licensing Iron Man, and we're making these people like we're Marvel games. We will work with people for a game by game basis, maybe multiple games on a contract, but we will find talented creators and give them the IP to go play with, rather than us do this WB thing and own and operate a studio where suddenly it's been 15 years since you made a fucking game. What the hell? You can't cut and run, or you can, but you fuck up, 500 people's lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's the output in what Marvel games has been doing lately is a conversation. I think there's a lot of, again, where is Marvel Ultimate Alliance for? Why not do this, that, like whatever. And Wolverine and Spider-Man, I think they could be doing more, but maybe they don't oversaturate, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Long and short of it, that's what DC should be doing as well.
Yeah.
DC should just be saying, hey, you make great stuff, pitch us your ideas for fucking DC games.
Like at the very least with the Marvel thing, you get things out the door, right?
Yeah.
Like I look at Guardians of the Galaxy as a video game, and like that game came out. I'd probably say it's a solid, depending on who you are, like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 game. But at the very
Which one,
least, sorry, Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal,
Yeah, Eidos Montreal.
Montreal, right? Like
that game rocked.
at the very least, it came out the door, and guess what? A lot of people like that game, and it worked for what it is. I'm thinking right now about a Green Arrow game that I never got, right? Of like, if DC was doing the DC, like the Marvel games thing of, hey, let's license things out, let's listen to ideas, let's do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could get so many different interesting ideas to the point you're making. And in fact, I will pitch a Gamescast for whenever this is maybe not as insensitive to do. I don't think we can do it this week, but like
games that should have died.
Yeah. No, but more so like, all right, you are taking WB games and you're doing the Marvel games thing. What are the 8 games that you're greenlighting for a 4-year period?
That's a great topic. No, I don't think that's too quick.
Like, I think that should be a,
again, people need to be vocal of like, you're the ones fucking this up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And again, this isn't a reflection on the developers, obviously. And maybe it isn't. We're not talking about them being the problem. We know that there's a million things going on in it, but it's just like, the whole thing is insane that like there's so many examples of this, but it all goes back to your fucking, what is the WB thing now? It's WB Discovery, whatever.
Right.
There's so much
Discovery
corporate
Max.
goddamn bullshit in there that again, you're a line item on a thing, and guess what? When the film division underperforms and you underperform, somebody's got to go, and it's like, this is the whole fucking problem with these corporations owning everything and everybody getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed.
Of course, we have so many super chats, so I want to read some of these. Joe Farrelly writes in and says, Justin for Coyote v. Acme, the world should know.
Yes.
Which I'm with you. Listen, I'm a Looney Tunes fan. A lot of people don't know that. I'm a big Looney Tunes
I didn't
guy.
know.
I didn't know
They
that.
call us Toonies.
I stopped thinking, wait, is that actually an offensive term?
I
Is that-
was like, can I say that? Deshaun Fortune writes in and says, I'm beyond hurt. Wonder Woman is the most iconic female hero on the face of the planet.
Tuners.
Yet she
Gooners.
gets tuners. No, that sounds bad.
That's so bad.
She's the most iconic
Get
female
out of here,
hero.
you fucking tuner.
Face of the planet. Yet she gets less than crumbs. She could easily be one of the biggest comic characters on the planet. And this is one thing I was going to bring up, even though like I think we're at the place of Wonder Woman, don't really hear about her that much from like the fans as far as like the deep lore and being super fans and all that shit. But I think Wonder Woman is one of those things where like she has such icon status because she's just been around forever. Like I think of Wonder Woman in the same vein of like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. Like that's just somebody who I was born and she was there.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I think
because she was at Six Flags.
yeah, honestly. And I went to Six Flags so much. But I think if you were to get a competent Wonder Woman thing out the door, I think you do have like big potential for it to do very well because people just know Wonder Woman.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like when we're talking about this is the untapped potential of IP. And I think that's why the Wonder Woman game gets greenlit, right? It is this idea of like, all right, well, if the movies do a little bit well and get her there, we can take it the rest of the way and really have this thing. And again, like as a comic book fan, when I say, oh, there's no definitive Wonder Woman thing, I can obviously pull from how much I love Tom Taylor's run. I know people love Absolute Wonder Woman. I personally really liked, as much as I didn't like New 52 Superman, I loved New 52 Superman and Wonder Woman and what they did. Like, there's a bunch of cool shit happening there, but none of it I feel is like etched in stone. This is canon. Like, you can't fuck with it. And I think if you were able to come in and do something, which I think the Nemesis system could have been cool for that, right?
Yeah.
You'd be off the races.
Imagine throwing your sword, sticking a dude in the wall with the sword, then punching other dudes.
I
and
would
then
play the fuck out of a
whipping
Wonder
that
Woman
guy
thing if it was good.
Coming out, boom,
Yeah.
shield crack.
Oh
You know
my
what I
God,
mean?
little
You're
parry.
fighting, orcs and whatever, giants and ogres or whatever, so you can cut them up and kill them. Or
How did the first Wonder Woman movie do? Because I remember there being a
really
fervor.
really well.
Yeah.
No. It did really well.
Did she have an invisible plane?
He did, yeah.
Not in the movies, though, right? In the movies,
No.
she just flies.
I think it
No,
was
when
invisible.
1984.
She made it invisible
Yeah.
after the fact, right? Didn't
I remember
she
her
make the
flying a
airplane
plane in
invisible?
1984, and I'm pretty sure it was
I think she
invincible.
did. Yeah,
1984
yeah.
came out Christmas Day in the middle of the pandemic, and it ruined Christmas for me.
Oh, same.
100 fucking
Just me and my
I
friends
tried
looking
to
at each other
forget.
like, is this like this is bad, but is it also offensive? like,
The movie ended, and one of us teared up, and I was like, "All right, this is a bad Christmas. Let's shut it down."
I don't know how much you're joking, but like that was the reality at my house, where it
Let's
was
try
me
to
and
forget
Jen,
this
it was
Christmas.
Lucy and her boyfriend, and we woke up and we were doing interview that day or
Yeah.
whatever. And not to mention I'm just a DC guy, so legitimately it was we woke up, made breakfast, and sat down and watched this, and we were about 20 or 30 minutes in or whatever, and I forget what happens in the movie, but it's just magic, and Lucy's boyfriend goes, all right, hold on. If they just try to hand wave this is magic, I'm gonna have a real problem. And I pause it and I turn to them like, you need to understand that magic exists in the DC universe. And they've never explained that in any of the movies, but that's real. And then the movie ended and it was just silence. And everyone waited for me because they were so horrified by the fucking movie. And I was like, that was dog shit. Like, oh God, thank God you hated it too. Yeah, well,
I mean, it was a similar thing for me where I watched it on that Christmas. It was me, Belinda, Yusuf, and Michael Hyam.
Yeah.
And I think there was a part where they went to, I think, Egypt. Was it Egypt?
There was where they were
Okay.
like
And
the car sequence.
Like,
Yes.
a big wall comes out of nowhere, right?
And Yusuf is Egyptian. I think there was a part
he was
where,
so furious and on social media about it too.
yes,
Understandably
because
so.
I think we were just sitting there like, this isn't okay. Like, this is actually like kind of offensive the way you're handling all this shit.
Because if you don't, I'm going to paraphrase Yusuf's argument, but I believe I remember it because I didn't know anything about it. But it was the idea that they went to Egypt and the Egyptian, like, I want to say drug lord, what maybe it was a king, but I thought it was a bad guy, was like living in like a hovel made of stone or whatever, and they had the pyramids behind him. And Yusuf was like, what? That's not, if you turn the camera and put your back to the pyramids, it's a
Pizza
real
Hut
city.
there.
It's a real fucking city. Why are you making it look like it's like olden days
There's
or
a
whatever?
Pizza Hut there.
It was also one of the things where like you get there and immediately like it's the filter, it's the sepia tone. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna. Yeah. Hold on. No. Let me
Are you searching
I'm
for the
trying to
tweet?
find the one everyone makes fun of. The Maxwell Lord, give me the stone.
Kal-El, no.
Dominique writes in and says, WB also just ruins and sits on IPs perfect for gaming. Why not make a remake of Path of Neo or just an original Matrix game? And Matrix, I think, is a perfect example for what I was talking about earlier, as far as like, if you want to go after Hogwarts Legacy success, again, I don't think anything else is going to be as successful, but a Matrix video game, I think, would be really cool, and you would get a lot of normies in, I think, through something like that, if it's good. If you give it to the right people to do, if you're able to make something great, I do think you have a lot of IPs that might not do Hogwarts numbers, but could do well.
I mean, this is me just always loving the creative character aspect.
Yeah.
You know, creating your own, wizard in Harry Potter or whatever. And I know.
Is that it?
Scared the
How do
shit
we
out
do
of me.
it and not get claimed? Because it's only 12 seconds long, right, Kev?
Yeah, I don't know. No, this is someone reenacting it. I'm pretty
But
sure.
is it the like audio they use? Is it the same audio? Probably.
I think it might be.
Throw
Julie
it up, everybody. Let's.
Well, I don't want to throw up the actual video because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Real
Yeah.
quick, I just want to say I know DC Online is very much like
Oh, DC Online. Yeah.
DC Universe
DCU
Online is very much create your own hero, whatever. And fight, like
uh-huh.
I personally would love a
Matrix Online?
create your own. No.
I was gonna say, I think
like,
they made that.
No, a DC type game where you are creating the new character of the Justice League, and you create either a speedster or whatever the hell. You
Yeah.
make it the AAA non-MMO version of that.
Kinda like
I would
the-
be so into
Like
that
the Crystal
shit.
Dynamics Marvel's Avengers of DC.
No.
No.
You didn't make a character there.
Oh, that's true. You don't.
He's
no.
thinking more along the lines of
Like a GTA
Midnight
Online.
Suns. That you original
I
character.
was thinking like Madden's long shot.
What was that? God, what was the bad
Like,
X-Men?
NBA 2K in the city.
Silicon Knights X-Men game, X-Men Destiny, where you made.
Oh, yeah.
And it was everybody hated that fucking shit.
But it's just-
it's hard enough to make one good superhero. You want to make here's a power pool of 4 superheroes to play with.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
Stop, please.
Jesus Christ.
God damn.
As we wind down, I'll do one more super chat. We have so many. Unfortunately, we can't get to all of them. But Tier Jessup writes in and says, "This is devastating. Zaslav needs to go." And like,
To hell.
go directly to Satan and ask for the VIP section of hell because
Yeah.
that's where you deserve to be.
Yeah, try to get their fucking shareholder money up.
I mean, do we have any final thoughts on this? I know we just had a long conversation and we derailed into just talking about DC shit.
I don't think we
But-
derailed. I think that's all part of the conversation. I mean, the final thoughts is what a fucking heartbreaker. It's like, it's the usual story around here when this happens. What a heartbreaker, but how predictable. And then what happens next? Because we're not, you know what I mean? Like, what legitimately happens to WB Games from here? What are we in a year? What does it look like in 2 years? What is happening?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing? And is it possible to fix this and get it back on track?
I think it's on the path to sell, obviously. Like we
Yeah.
were talking earlier. I do want to read a couple of super chats from Deshaun Fortune, he says, I'm beyond hurt. Wonder Woman is one of the most iconic female heroes on the face of the planet, and she gets less than crumbs. And then follows it up with another super chat that says, all it takes is one cartoon to teach everyone about Wonder Woman. Why won't they even give us that? Also, George Perez's Wonder Woman is widely known as the definitive run.
Well, it's great, but again, you're talking. Okay, yes, you are correct, but again, go ask anyone on the street. Find 5 people wearing a Wonder Woman outfit, just a Wonder Woman shirt, a Wonder Woman backfit, a Wonder Woman, who say they're Wonder Woman fans, and do they know the Perez run? I know what you're talking about, obviously. And if we're talking about a great cartoon, of course, Justice League Unlimited, Susan Eisenberg, let's fucking go. My princess forever.
I do want to read this one also from CJ. Got a lot of good super chats here. Hot take: Iron Man and Black Panther never released. Even if that's the case, Marvel Games is still out here putting out way more stuff than DC. Like, that's the thing is, I think when you're working in the ways, I forgot about this. When you're working in the way that Marvel Games is, where it is, you're taking in ideas and you're actually greenlighting shit and like trying to. You're trying, and you're seeing that stuff through. Like, you have some failures. You have the Marvel's Avengers of the world, right? But then you also have like the Guardians of the Galaxies, or you have the Marvel Spider-Mans, right? So like, we're at a place where Iron Man is announced, Black Panther is announced, the Black Panther Captain America game tie-in is announced, right? I would hope that all of them come out, but even if they don't, like, Marvel Games is still kind of killing it with what they have. So yeah, I think that's the short of it.
I think it's this would be the way I would categorize it, and perhaps it's wrong. And again, I think this also is the Gregway question should be expanded to probably a what do we think about Marvel Games in 2025 topic on the show. We should get on the list. But it is the thing of when Marvel Games cancels Iron Man, cancels Black Panther, theoretically from the question, right? I think we look at that and we go, okay, that's good. Those games didn't turn out. Those games don't work out. This is why for years and years, and even to this day, people are so close, keep it so close to their chest what they're working on and what their games are.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to make a game and so hard to publish a game that so many of the games we all think we would love to play have been greenlit and have started going. And back to Matt Piscatella talking to me, right? Get to that check between the green light, red light, and they get the red light and they go away. And so I think even though you can talk about quality and this, that, and the other with Marvel Games is fucking head and shoulders above what DC's been able to do. And so again, for them to be here and Bill Roseman to be like, we're not putting out Black Panther anymore, we would go, that sucks. I was interested in it, but I don't want a bad Black Panther game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad they have an eye for quality. I'm glad they're protecting their IP. They're not just putting out Suicide Squad.
Well, at least there's Spider-Man. At least there's Wolverine. Yeah. At least there's, for some reason, another Black Panther game happening at the same time.
With Captain America.
With Captain America in it.
David Zaslav in 2023 made a bonus of $22 million.
Mm-hmm.
What if we got into being CEOs? Like me and you.
Let me tell you, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Not every CEO makes that kind of money.
Like, you
just get the gray hair.
You can take a business and have how much money? 22 million?
Yeah.
As a bonus? As a bonus.
Bonus.
I've often thought about what if we just, when we like funded the animated series back in the day, right? That was an obscene number we had to hit. If we were very public of, we want to buy Rocksteady.
What do we got to do?
Let's get the Patreon thermometer up. Stream for 24 hours and buy Rocksteady.
Of course, this has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together and talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast. What is it?
Kevin just being very serious about how his Christmas was ruined.
No, but I agree. My Christmas was also kind of ruined.
It was a really dark day. I was being completely honest with that.
Jesus. That was like straight to video, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't on
it was
COVID.
Plus.
Yeah, it was right to Max.
Right.
Yeah,
Max,
that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. You can catch today's KFGD on YouTube and on podcast services. And know that until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.